Yeah, I'm Roy. I'm an Israeli. I live in Tel Aviv. All of these huge demonstrations are right across the street from here. It's still quiet in my house, so it's fine. I'm a Jew, of course. I'm not religious. I'm a complete atheist. Someone says, I know Roy, you're here. Kelvan, I know who you are. Maybe you know me. Yeah, that's why I'm an atheist. I'm a Jew. That's it. I think so.
Yeah, some people always say like, how could you say I'm a Jew and an atheist at the same time? One of them is referring to ethnicity and culture, the other one is referring to belief, for people who want
Yeah.
to ask that question.
Some
Anyway,
Muslim
so
people even say it. Say that
yes,
they're
yes,
Muslim and
yes.
not religious.
That does that
Yeah,
doesn't
that
make
doesn't
sense.
make sense, but people say it. People
Yes,
can say
yes,
it.
yes. It makes sense for Jew and atheist, but it doesn't make sense for Muslim atheist.
Yeah,
I mean, technically, I have a friend,
exactly.
Ali Dawah, who wrote a book, The Muslim Atheist, but I'm not going to get into that, right?
Your best
What
friend.
he means by that. Yes. So let's. My best friend is Suzanne, but he's
Mortal.
close. Let me actually put this on the screen. This is our source of disagreement, right?
Yes.
Also, am I getting this wrong? I thought the name of the corridor is the Philadelphia corridor, not the Philadelphia
Yeah,
corridor.
you're
Which one
completely
is it?
right. It's Philadelphia.
So it's Philadelphia. So why is it
Yeah.
so many on Western media? So everybody's calling it Philadelphia corridor.
Yeah, they're
Like I
idiots.
don't know. Okay. So guys, this is wrong. It's not the Philadelphia corridor. It's the Philadelphia corridor.
Philadelphia.
And Roy, do you want to explain what the source of this agreement is? Because this is a major source of uh, right now. A lot of the protests that you're seeing in Israel, it's over disagreement over this. Is regarding getting ceasefire and get the hostages, because we're negotiating with Hamas to do a ceasefire in exchange for the hostages. And some Israelis are saying no, we should not ceasefire. We should finish the job. And many Israelis are saying Netanyahu is sacrificing the life of the Israelis for his own political gain. He doesn't care about the hostages. He's putting the hostages at risk. And that's why he's not negotiating for ceasefire. And he's not doing everything that he can to get the hostages back. And the only reason why he's continuing the war is because of his political career and because he wants to remain prime minister so that he doesn't go to prison, right?
Yes.
And the the the, the thing Hamas wants for the ceasefire. So the negotiation between Hamas and Israel right now is if the only way Israel will agree to a ceasefire, the terms that Israel wants is that they don't let go of this Philadelphia corridor. Hamas,
Hmm.
one of the conditions that Hamas has for a ceasefire and to give up the hostages is for them to is for Israel to leave this Philadelphia corridor. And this Philadelphia corridor is uh, basically you can see the border between Gaza and Egypt. It used
It's
to
the
be under the
border no one
control of
talks about. It's the border that everyone
border.
that criticizes Israel never talks about.
Yes, yes. Now they're talking about it because now they
Now.
could use it to attack Israel,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're like, oh, look, Israel doesn't care about its own people, right? But it's basically it used to be under the control of Egypt. Now it's under the control of Israel, and it's a 100-meter wide, I think, right? But I don't know how
100
many.
meter? Ah,
Yeah,
wide.
like
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
wide, like not the
Yeah.
length, the width,
Yeah.
right? So yeah,
It's not
so they
Lego.
made it. Yes, they made it thicker so that they could make sure that they could see who's passing it,
Yeah.
right?
Logistically.
Anyways, yes. So do you want to add some explanations in case I miss anything here? Like what's your understanding of what the situation is?
Yeah. The opening is quite on point. I think uh, from Hamas point of view, they're still with the same, asking for the same thing. Give us all of their hostages, and they give us all their hostages, and that's it. We could do this. We can do this. We could have done this deal on day one, on October 8th. By the way, if we would done this deal on October 8th, none of this would happen. I don't say we should have, but we could. That's what they said that they want. From day one, they're still saying the same thing. They want all the hostages back. Then to
Well,
exchange
who?
hostages and to keep the Philadelphia corridor, of course.
Okay, so let's actually be clear with our language here. It's not exchange of hostages. Okay, one side has hostages, the other side
Prisoners.
has prisoners. Okay,
Yeah.
so yes, let's not
Yeah.
call the people who Israel has arrested as hostages, right? Yeah, people, we should be sensitive about that. Like the exchange
Yeah.
of hostages makes it seem like Israel has taken Palestinian civilians as hostages for exchange. Like that's not what has happened here. So it's not an exchange of hostages. Hostages as prisoners for hostages.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are your arguments? So again, people, like, remember, one side, like Israeli people themselves are divided over this, right?
Hmm.
One side is saying, I mean, like, again, I know that there's many different views, I'm just simplifying it. One side is saying that we should not give up this Philadelphia corridor, and I'm on that side as well. Oh yes, I'm not Israeli, I dare to have an opinion about these things, come sue me for it. I agree that I agree with Netanyahu on this point, that we should not give up the Philadelphia corridor. This is basically what how Hamas could revive. This is basically the breathing corridor for Hamas. You need to suffocate Hamas. You need to keep this close. You're this close to basically completely destroying Hamas's ability to maintain control over Gaza, and it completely destroy its military capability. You have come this far, and it has been very successful. Why would you give up right at this very last moment? Why would you gamble with the potential of Hamas being able to regain everything that it has lost, right? So do
Hmm.
not give up the Philadelphia corridor. And yes, I understand that getting the hostages are a priority. Uh, on the other hand, making sure that we don't get more hostages in the future, that's a higher priority, right? A higher priority than saving the hostages is to make sure that Hamas is incapable of not getting future hostages. That's also that should be okay. So that's my position.
Yeah.
The other side is saying that the only reason why Netanyahu doesn't want to give up this corridor is because he doesn't want a ceasefire, and he doesn't want a ceasefire because as long as war continues, then he gets to remain in power and remain a prime minister, and he's doing this for political gain, because if he stops being a prime minister, he could potentially go to jail for corruption, and that's why he's playing with Israeli lives for his own political gain. I don't know how that makes sense either, because the idea is the people who are saying do a ceasefire with Hamas, they're saying do so that you could start a war with Hezbollah. So if Netanyahu was doing this for political gain, he could do a ceasefire and could still continue the war. So I don't understand how the ceasefire would be against him remaining prime minister. So maybe you could explain that to me. So okay, so these are the things, my understanding. You go ahead. What am I getting wrong?
Yeah, the part with the Hezbollah is detached from the part with Gaza. The people that demonstrate here in Tel Aviv, I think it was about 600,000 people last time. They don't say, let's stop the war in Gaza and start the war with Hezbollah. They don't say that. They just want to stop the war in Gaza. Okay, that's the demonstration. No one is holding a sign that says, let's continue with Hezbollah, leave Gaza. No one says that. Okay?
No, yeah, no. But the military people within the government are saying that, right? I know the
Yeah.
protesters are not saying that, which
Mhm.
shows to me that Netanyahu is capable. If he wanted to stay in power, he could still continue the war. Like, he doesn't need to continue the war with Hamas for his political power. He has enough excuses, legitimate excuses, to continue the war with Hezbollah, even if he gets a ceasefire here. So I don't see why you could accuse Netanyahu of not doing a ceasefire with Hamas specifically for continuing the war when he has other wars that he could continue somewhere
Yeah,
else. But yeah,
I
go on.
can tell you how. The war with Hezbollah is not urgent. Supposedly, if we stop the war in Gaza, Hezbollah, whether it's Hezbollah, not Hezbollah, no one know that. It's Hezbollah. They say that the war would stop. They would stop firing at us if we get out of Gaza. So if he will do that, the war with Hezbollah would not be urgent. We could stop. We can do elections again. That's what the people want, right? We want to replace him. So he can't say, "I need to stay as prime minister," because we're now in the middle of a war with Hezbollah.
Well, he could say that it's an immediate after Hezbollah. No, it is immediate because there are so many. There's how many Israelis are basically
Tens of
cannot
thousands.
live in their homes right now,
I think
like
about
in northern.
100,000. Maybe someone in the
Yeah,
comment section can correct
100.
me.
Yeah, sorry. Let me just say 100,000 Israelis have not been living in their homes for a very long period of time. So that makes it urgent. What did he say about the comment section?
That maybe someone can correct me about the number, the 100,000.
Yes, yes.
That's what I
Also,
said.
somebody in the comment section is saying that I should check the polls on what. Yeah, do you know the numbers? I should go check the
No, I don't have
numbers
it.
on the most recent
No, I don't have
polls
them
to
on top
see.
of my head. Look, it
I
is
will go
urgent,
find.
but Hezbollah will stop firing and they will be able to come home. They could come home because Hezbollah will not fire. So that's the point. Hezbollah would stop firing. It would be just like 2 years ago. People lived in the north 2 years ago. They would continue there, live there. We would then arm ourselves. We can rest. We can do elections
Yeah.
again.
Here's another way. Here's another way. If I was Netanyahu, I could sell this as urgent. Okay, I would say that if we stop right now, if we don't attack Hezbollah right away, then we will never have this international excuse. Like right now, we are in a war, so everything it's normalized that Israel is at war. So now we could open a front with Hezbollah. If the war stops and then we go through a period of no war, there is no way the amount of international pressure on us would be so. There's no way that the world powers, especially the United States, would tolerate us just starting a war with Hezbollah. And Hezbollah would be wise enough to make sure that if this war ends, Hezbollah would be wise enough not to attack Israel, to not give Israel an excuse to start a war, and Israel would not be in a position to basically, without any attack from Hezbollah, to be like, okay, now that we had an election, now that we have a ceasefire with Hamas, everything seems peaceful. Let's start a war. Like the whole world would be like, fuck, right? Like
First, we
everything is
will be
peaceful, and
able
you want
to
to
do
start a
it.
war. So if Israel wants to, so here's the thing: Hezbollah is a threat to the existence of Israel. If you want to start a war, and if you don't start a war with Hezbollah, eventually they will get so powerful that they will be irremovable, right? So if you want to start a war with Hezbollah, this is it. This is it right now. If we get full peace and you haven't started a war with Hezbollah, you might never get this opportunity ever again. So you have to hit while the iron is still hot, or else if you miss this window, you will miss it forever. So that's my excuse. That's my argument for why Netanyahu would be like, no elections, no nothing. Hamas would go to Hezbollah right away. What do you think?
If we want to start a war, we can do what everyone accuses us do, and make the place hot. We can make we can make it happen. If we fire
No, you
something,
can't. You can't.
we
You
say they
can't. You
fired at
can't.
us, we fire at them, they fire again, and we can start a war. But regardless of that, we don't have to start a war with Hezbollah. What do you mean? Do you mean eradicate Hezbollah like we're doing with Hamas, like an actual war to conquer
No. Like hit
Lebanon?
them. Obviously, eradication doesn't make sense because, as soon as I find like it's, what does eradicate even mean? Like it doesn't make any
Like
sense to talk
disable
about
them.
disable. Yes, I want to. Basically, I want Hezbollah to be hit so hard in such a way that they will never recover from it ever again. Like this is basically get them to a point where even though they still exist, but their position, both politically within Lebanon, right? If you bring war to Lebanon because of Hezbollah, their political position in Lebanon would be weaker than it is even right now. Right now, the political capital of Hezbollah in Lebanon is dropping like a rock. This is if you bring war to Lebanon because of this, then it will drop even further. And also their military capital. It needs to be hit in such a way that people would dismiss them as a serious proxy going forward.
Yeah.
Right. And also
people in the comments accuse me of being a pro-Palestine leftist. I want to remind people that I'm doing some the devil's advocate. I don't really believe everything that I say right now.
You don't.
Yeah,
You're not. You're not. Why don't let these people intimidate you? These are crazy. These people.
I am a leftist pro-Palestinian, by the way. I just don't think that I'm not saying everything that I think we should do. That's not what I think. But look,
yes, Yeah,
Hezbollah is
I
another
think you're
thing.
right. Pro-Palestinian. It's not. It's good to be
Yeah,
pro-Palestinian.
yeah, I'm pro-Palestinian.
That's why we're so pro-Israel. I mean, I say this at least. I don't know if that's good. I am pro-Israel, partly because I'm pro-Palestinian, and I think Israel is the best chance for Palestinians.
I can
Israel
tell you what
removing Hamas.
I'm pro-Palestinians. I don't know what pro-Palestinian
Palestinian.
is, right?
Yes, that's actually yeah. There is no. I mean, okay. So Palestine is not a country, but it is the name of a place.
Yeah,
So yeah, okay. Palestinians. Yeah, you're right. That makes
yeah,
sense.
pro-Palestinians.
Pro-Palestinians. I mean, if we ever get a one-state solution, that would be the Palestine province. I think no.
Province.
It's not
Yeah.
a country, but it would be a province. I don't know what you would call it by that point. Anyway,
West Bank.
so
I want to get back
you
to.
yourself. Yeah, go back. You go.
I want to get back to Gaza. I want to talk about the war itself. I want to talk about how the country changed during the war. So, of course, after October 7, the obvious thing happened. Everyone lost their minds. I didn't sleep for, I think, 3 months. I was in Telegram watching over and over again all the horrible video, etc. But we're getting very hostile. We're getting very, how do you say it, corrupted. You need to see the social media comments. You need to see the people, what they want to do, what the soldiers are starting to do. I mean, it's escalating every day. Every day you see a video of a soldier letting himself do things that he now knows that he can do, where like a year ago he could not do. For example, there's a video that just got out. You see a Palestinian in a truck. The soldiers tells him to stop. The Palestinian curses him, so he fires at his tires. He would never do that a year ago, right? He was, because things was going to happen to him. Now he can do that. And you hear the rhetoric. People say yeah, kill them, kill everyone. Everything you see. There's this situation where our soldiers supposedly, I really don't know what happened, right? So, supposedly graped. They graped with grapes the terrorists, right? And people say, what do you so much the terrorists? Well, why do you care if they're graped or not? So I keep saying, I don't care if they graped. I hope that they die from the graped, but I just don't want our soldiers to do the graping. I hope that each and one of those terrorists that was graped would die from infected hemorrhoids. But our soldiers should not do the graping. That's the problem. So that's what happens during this war, during every war, right? So this is what happens. I'm seeing everything we accused the Palestinians of doing before, we're starting to do now. We don't care about them. They should die. Look at them. Everyone is responsible. The same rhetoric, and it's getting worse and worse and worse every day. So that's one point.
So you're saying basically like a Nietzsche quote, like when you're fighting monsters, be careful so that you don't become a monster yourself. And
exactly.
So
everything I'm saying this is
the most. So people think that when we are these standards that we want to maintain, even when you're fighting the most vile, disgusting people on earth, they think that when we are defending these standards, we're sympathizing with the people, with those vile people. The reason why we want to maintain these standards is not because we like those people. It's because we don't want to become those people, because we don't want to become close to what they are, right? What you're fighting for is something that is not them. If they manage to make you more like them, then they have defeated you in the most fundamental way possible, right? They have taken what you stand for, right? Maybe when you're fighting them, maybe sometimes they take your lives, but sometimes they take your values, and those values are important to maintain, to have countries and societies that celebrates life, that has actually prospered enough to be advanced enough to be able to take care of its citizens. So that's what people don't understand. It's not a matter of are they good enough people to deserve that level of protection. Is are you the people who want to be? Do your people deserve to be the kind of people that are not like them? That's what is at stake. That's what you're selling.
Yeah.
If you if you apply different standards at war. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that wars does, and it doesn't do it just for us because we're Israelis, right? It happens in every war. The longer the war gets, the corrupted the soldiers get, everyone. But I want to say, I think I say in the comments, so it's not like I want to like explain
Can
myself,
you
but it
highlight
just
the
show
comments
maybe I'm not
yourself?
clear. What?
Are you able to highlight comments yourself as well, or is it just
No, I don't need to. I just want to say they say
okay?
the IDF didn't grave. They just took a phone something. This was just a specific example. I said I don't know if they do it. Let's say they didn't, but they do other things, right? We can't hide that our soldiers do other things. They steal a lot of things. They do a lot of things. We see there are a lot of videos of things that
But to be
shouldn't happen.